On this edition of the Rev Cooks, the ever so wonderful chorizo, egg, and potato taco. Okay, so chorizo and egg and potato tacos. There's a little bit of a story behind this. I don't really totally embarrass myself. It's not really something that I would typically come across, but this is sort of the Blake Dog style of how we do this, and it turns out to be really pretty good. We originally ran across this, or I originally ran across this when we took one of our boys' girlfriends to Death Valley for a camping trip. Sounds kind of like a funny thing to do, but it was the middle of winter and we were gonna go stargazing and stuff, and she happens to be a first-generation American, and so she kind of brought some of these cultural influences into our lives, which we really totally absolutely loved learning about. So I said, hey, how do you make chorizo and eggs? And so she said, well, buy this stuff and I'll show you how to do it. So we went out to the desert, Death Valley, like I said, and she showed me how to make these chorizo and egg tacos. We call them tacos because everything's a taco to her, but we kind of make them into more of a burrito style here for us. So they're really delicious. They're not exactly authentic, how maybe a Mexican American would do, but the fact of the matter is that this is how the Blake Dog family does it, and they are delicious and take a little bit of work, but a little bit maybe of a twist to what a traditional approach to would be to it. But there's a little to do, so let's get going. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we kind of get together some stuff to season the pan. This is what she sort of taught me on how to do this. She said they typically oil their pan. We didn't have oil out there in the desert when we were doing this, so we went ahead and just did it on nonstick, and it worked out just fine. So there's no need to add oil. Why would you add oil? So to sort of start by seasoning the pan, we need to have a little bit of jalapeno and some onion. And if you watched my Pico de Gallo video, you know that anytime I'm working with jalapenos, I'm gonna use some rubber gloves because, I made the mistake one time of doing it, working with jalapenos and not using rubber gloves and then rubbing my eyes. So not fun, but nonetheless. So we're gonna go ahead and start by getting all of our little seeds and ribs and whatnot out of our jalapeno here. She told us that what her family traditionally would do is they would take the jalapenos and they would just sort of slice maybe a half a jalapeno, and put it in the pan and warm it up and season the pan that way. But I do things a little differently, and that's fine, right? I mean, this is I'm eating this, and this is what I like to do, so this is what I'm showing you how to do. And you obviously can vary these things however you and your family like the best. So what I'm gonna do is once I've got these guys all cleaned out here, it's kind of a funny jalapeno here. He's got a little bit of a curve to him, makes it a little harder for me to get all the seeds out, but that's okay. If it's not a little bit of effort, then maybe it's not totally worth it, right? So get as many seeds out of this guy we can, take the ribs out. Okay. So now, like I said, she just kind of sliced it sort of like this, maybe even half of this, and just tossed it in the pan. But I kind of like it to have more of like I do with the Pico, more like sort of little bit of a dice on this, because I'm not going to take it out of the chorizo when I'm cooking it. I'm just going to leave it in there the whole time, and it's just going to add a little bit of a boost of flavor. Not that chorizo needs a real boost of flavor. Chorizo is such a fantastic flavor to begin with that doesn't really need much, but this gives a little bit of a kick to it, and that's fine. That's what we like around here. A little bit of a spice, a little bit of a kick to it. Jalapenos aren't like crazy spicy, so we like to kind of just give it a nice little rough chop there. So I'm using one whole, sort of a medium size, not a huge jalapeno here. Make sure to keep all these seeds away because I don't want to blow the roof off the house here. But you see, it's a little bit more of a coarse chop or dice than I use when making Pico de Gallo. So it's, that's fine. You can dice it up a little bit more if you want. You can do that, what she said was more of the traditional approach with, kind of like slices or whatever. But this is what we do, kind of a nice, smallish but not tiny little dice. Pop them in the pan here. This guy got left out, so we'll chop him up real quick. Okay. And then we're gonna add to that 1 diced onion. Let me go ahead and get rid of these seeds here. Okay. I got 1 yellow onion, sort of a average size yellow onion here. And the same thing, you know, she sort of just took a couple of little slices of onion when she did it. But again, this is how we do it. And when you're cooking for your own family, do it how you want to do it. You know, I'm just showing you what we do, and we really enjoy it this way. And it's, again, the first time we did something like this, we came back from the camping trip, and you know, maybe a month or so later, I'm like, you know, I'm gonna give it a go. We did it for not for breakfast, we did it for dinner, because we're weird like that. We like to have you know, dinner that's actually breakfast a lot. So I did it a little bit more the way that I wanted to do it. We're chopping it up like this, and everyone liked it. And so it became an instant, immediate family classic and favorite. So we're just gonna take those chopped onions, pop them in there as well. Okay. Again, this is my usual chopping style here. And then we'll add these to the pan. Okay. And again, like I said, we're gonna use this to just season our pan real nice. We're gonna give it a nice little warm go, and then we add the chorizo to it. So let me go ahead and pop this on the stove, and we'll get going on getting this stuff seasoned and cooked up. All right, so what we're gonna do, go ahead and get this guy started. Turn them on to sort of a medium-high heat. Again, no oil in this. This is just a very, just a dry, non-stick pan. If you use a stainless steel pan, you'd obviously want to maybe use a little bit of oil in it to kind of keep it from sticking. But we're just using this to kind of get some of the flavor going in this a little bit. And once that flavor kind of gets going, we're going to add the chorizo. This is the chorizo that we've got here today. Just sort of a basic chorizo we bought from the local warehouse store. And it seems to work really well. If you don't really, aren't a big fan of maybe like meats or whatever, I have seen at the Whole Foods store, not a Whole Foods, but a similar store down the block here, something called Chorizo, or I'm sure there's other brands and stuff. So you can really kind of like make this a little bit more, maybe not meat if you want to, but this is, we don't mind the meat, so we're gonna use authentic and real chorizo to do this. So while this pan is kind of getting warmed up here, I'm heating up some water, because what we're gonna do is we're gonna add, once we get all of this chorizo basically done, well, while we're cooking it, we're also gonna get some potatoes going. I can already hear it sizzling a little bit, so I'm gonna turn it down just a little bit here. And so let me go ahead and get the chorizo in here, and then I'll show you how we're gonna do the potato part of this. So now that it's sizzling, the pan's getting a little bit of flavor here. Ooh, that smells like jalapeños and onions. I'm gonna take my chorizo, and just add it right in. The whole deal there. Don't want to miss any of this. Chorizo is such an actual delight. So good when you get the real stuff. So, there we go. Let's pop this in the garbage. Okay. And then we're going to get this guy just kind of moving around here. So it's going to take kind of a little bit of a while to cook, but that's fine. So I'm going to let this get going here a little bit, and we're going to get going on our potatoes. So the way that I'm going to do potatoes is I cheat a little bit. We use hash browns for the potatoes because we're going to assemble basically a burrito out of this. So I just used a box of like these, you know, like dried, freeze-dried mashed potatoes, or not mashed potatoes, but potatoes. I think it's, you know, pretty simple. There's not a lot of really ingredients in it, so that's good. It's basically just potatoes there. So we're gonna take this guy, pour in the hot water, which is how you prepare these things. Okay. And then I'm going to close it up and let it reconstitute and heat up while our chorizo is getting going there. So we're going to put that on the stovetop here next to the chorizo in a little bit. See it over there, the pan, that guy's going to get ready. So we'll do that in a second here. But in the meantime, you have to kind of keep this guy moving around, and you need to get your chorizo moving, and you need to get your potatoes like ready for the pan. So gonna get this guy stirred here, maybe turn it down a little bit more, move it around. Oh man, you wish you could be here smelling this. That chorizo smells so good. Okay, we're gonna let this cook for a sec, or well, more than a sec. We're gonna kind of start letting it really get cooked here. Our potatoes are getting reconstituted. In the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and prepare the eggs so that I can just put them right in when we're ready. So if you never cooked chorizo before, which I hadn't before I met her, it's kind of hard to really know what's going on here because it doesn't really cook up like a ground beef or something. It kind of gets this little bit of a soupy sort of a look to it, and that's fine. It's cooking. You don't really want to add the eggs in until it's basically more or less cooked, okay? Because the eggs are just going to cook right at the last second. So you want to make sure you spread that guy out, let them keep cooking. And you might want to crack your eggs so that they're ready whenever. Here we go. I've got 8 eggs here, ready to go when we're ready. You can use less eggs, obviously. I think when we did it out in the desert, we did 6 eggs because that was what she suggested. But we kind of like our eggs in this family, so I do a little bit more. Makes it a little bit more, eggy, I guess is the word. But nonetheless, it gives it a little bit more bulk to the meal too, so I can feed, the small army that is the family that I have. Not really that big of a family, but nonetheless. At the same time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here and I'm going to get my pan started to get ready for my potatoes, okay? Because those are going to take a while as well. So I'm going to get myself a nice, decent size serving or spatula here, and I'm going to add in a pretty good amount of butter to my pan. Because potatoes are delicious, but potatoes with butter, well, good and good, right? So I'm going to go ahead and turn the stove on here, kind of get that butter a little bit more melted. Okay, and we can kind of keep an eye on both of these guys at the same time here. Check this out, right? So this is still cooking down, starting to get there actually. This meal actually comes together pretty quickly. Sort of like one of the longest things to do is really cook the chorizo and cook the potatoes. The potatoes I'm not great at cooking the potatoes from these boxes of, freeze-dried potatoes, but I do the best I can. So, but this guy is starting to get there, okay? Starting to get some of those liquids out of there, so that's good. Over here, gonna get my butter moved around a bit so that it melts up. You want the butter to be nice and melty here. I like multitasking, but hey, what good dinner doesn't require multitasking? And I know you can obviously have this for breakfast. I mean, that's sort of when everyone typically has chorizo and eggs. Ours is chorizo and eggs and potatoes. But like I said, we're big fans of breakfast any time of the day. So we're gonna have it for dinner tonight. So, oh man, does that smell amazing. You wish you could be here. Oh, do you wish you could be here? There really is nothing quite like chorizo. Okay, so the butter's melted there. These potatoes have been sitting for 10-ish minutes, maybe a little less, it's fine. The pan is nicely warm because the butter's melted. I'm gonna pop these guys in here. Give them a nice stir around to get that butter all incorporated. Okay. Then we're going to turn that heat up to high because when you're cooking these potatoes, you want to get a nice crispy brown on them if you can. If you can't, it's really not the end of the world, but make sure it's a nice thin layer like that. That way it'll crisp up and brown up really nice. Okay. So in the meantime here, our chorizo's getting kind of cooked, so that is good. Notice that the onions and the jalapenos are cooking down as well, starting to caramelize a little bit, combining all those delicious flavors together. So that is good. Okay. We're going to add the eggs in just a minute, but again, we want to make sure this guy is on nice and high here. He's starting to bubble up, you know, so that's good. You might want to give him another stir kind of in the beginning just to get that melted butter nice and fully incorporated with all your potatoes there. Again, nice thin layer. You'll hear him start sizzling at some point too, so that's good. Okay. So what she told me, so you know, shout out to Swagtastic G over here. She's the one that gave us this. So she told me that you basically wait till this is more or less cooked, and you kind of do it by sight a little bit. It's looking like it's just about cooked here before you add the eggs in, because the eggs, like I said, will cook pretty fast. So maybe we turn this down just a smidge. We don't want it to cook too fast. We want it to really lock in these flavors. And yeah, I know my pan's gonna become a mess, but hey, you know, what's delicious food without some pain in the neck dishes, right? So that's okay too. So we're just about ready for our eggs there. This guy's sizzling up, I can hear it, that's good. Make sure that's on high. The longer you let it sit there, the more brown it'll get underneath. It doesn't have to be brown, it just has to be warm, okay? So, all right. Notice how this is kind of got some steam to it. It's a lot of the moisture and the oils are sort of off of that, and it's starting to bind together a little bit more. So that kind of tells you you're just about to the cook stage on that. Okay. All right. So now we add in our eggs. Again, as much or as little eggs as you really want. I'm adding in 8 eggs. Just gonna pour those guys right in there. There we go. Start stirring this around a little bit. Maybe break my yolks. I'm not yoking around about that either. Ooh. So, I'm gonna go ahead and get this guy moved a little bit, kind of evenly, I want the eggs evenly distributed through that. Maybe turn that heat up a little bit there so that those guys don't stop cooking too fast. Okay. So give it a nice stir around. You want all those flavors together. It's a nice, dense, protein-rich meal. Again, you can use whatever style of chorizo or soy rizo, or I have no idea if there's a tofu rizo or a chicken rizo or whatever. This is a pork chorizo. This is what she used, and we found it just absolutely tremendously delicious. Okay, so that's nicely mixed around there. I'm gonna go over here and check on these guys. So now they're getting hot, so that's good. Okay, not quite brown yet. They don't have to be brown. You know, crispy hash browns are always preferred, but if they're not super crispy, it's really not like, you know, a reason to call out the Idaho police or something. You know, Idaho, because that's where those potatoes were from. So look at how those eggs are starting to cook up nice here, starting to get some nice heat off of this. Oh, yeah. This is gonna be great. Gotta love chorizo and eggs. It's a real, if you've never had chorizo and eggs before, I highly, highly recommend. Kind of hard to mess it up unless you don't cook it all the way, you know, and plus that's what this video is for, so you have a good idea of how to go about this. But man, it has got so much delicious flavor that it's just one of those things you've got to try at some point in your life. You know, I'd had chorizo before, not quite prepared the same way that she taught me how to prepare it, but I have had it before when I was working construction one summer. I had a guy working with me, and he was, you know, he brought like these little chorizo and egg, little like taco types of things, and he's like, "Hey, you want some?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And I tasted, and I was like, "Oh man!" I mean, I'd always heard about chorizo, but I had no idea until that first experience with it. So, just got such a bold, delicious flavor. And makes a lot here, so you know, you don't have to, you can obviously use half of the chorizo if you want, or a couple of different tubes of chorizo. You know, it just depends on how much your family eats here. So this guy is starting to stick to the pan, so that's good. Getting nice and crispy. Oh, baby, yeah. I have lost a buddy there. Oh yeah, that's good. Let these guys sort of spread them out again. Let them keep browning up. I'm gonna turn this chorizo and eggs down a little bit because it's basically cooked. See how everything is binding together there? So we wanna turn that down and kind of keep it warm. Oh yeah. I mean, you don't even need to add any extra seasonings to this. It's just packed with just rich flavor. And I mean, it's, like I said, it's got the jalapenos in it. She told me that, like when her dad makes it, or her mom, I don't remember which one, that they would actually take the jalapeno and onion out and just cook the chorizo and eggs together. And you could do that as well. And then, like, you know, maybe chop up the jalapeno and egg after and put it, someone would like it in there or not. I just chop it up, put it all in there together. That's the way we do it. And like I've said before, you know, hey, this is your food. You're the one that's got to eat it. Do it how you like it. If you don't want to put any egg, sorry, not egg. If you don't want to put any, well, if you don't want to put any egg, you don't have to do that either. But if you don't want to put any onion in it, you don't want to put any jalapeno, hey, that's all good, you know? As long as you like what you're eating. I'm just showing you what we do around this house, and we like it this way, and that's all good. So, oh yeah. So these potatoes are about done. My chorizo and eggs is just kind of keeping warm over here. Yeah, getting a little crispy, so that is good. So tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and finish crisping this guy up. And we are, once we have that all done, all we gotta do is assemble our chorizo, egg, and potato tacos. Okay, so potatoes done, chorizo done, eggs done. We got some pico that we're gonna put on this as well. The pico link to that video is in the description. And so all we're gonna do, like I said, we make these burrito style. She always called them tacos, whatever. It's all good, call it what you wanna call it. It's all delicious. So I'm gonna go ahead and take that tortilla, room temperature or even warmed. You know, warmed would probably be best, but if you watched my shrimp burrito video, you know I'm not great at rolling these things, so we'll do the best we can, and you can feel free to laugh at home. So we're gonna add some of the chorizo and eggs. You don't need a lot, it's got so much flavor, okay? So there. Add some of these here hash brown potatoes. Oh yeah. These aren't the crispiest ones I've ever made, but they've got a little bit of a crisp to them. Okay, so put those on there like that. There you go. A little bit of cheese, whatever kind of cheese you'd like, because, you know, cheese is good with everything. And then nice fresh Pico de Gallo. Again, I made this earlier today. So you want to plan ahead a little bit because you want to make sure you have all these wonderful flavors. Man, this thing is just an absolute explosion of flavors, as you'll see when you make it for your family. All right? All we got to do now is roll this guy up. There we go. Little roll, roll, roll. Oh, baby. Cut it on the bias. There we go. Chorizo, eggs, and potato taco. Well, there you go. The chorizo, egg, and potato taco with a little pico de gallo, a little cheese on that. Oh, such a great meal. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, great any time of the day. As I said, it was a immediate family request and something to add to the typical normal rotation around here. So it doesn't take too long to put together. It takes a little bit of work. You got to make sure you kind of get things prepared, but nonetheless, once you get it all prepared, it is super, super delicious. So until next time, I'm Rev Blake Dog. Enjoy.
A Rev Blake Dog production.